watching BiTV European Service. I'm Ines Boget, and today we welcome Étienne Cadestin, who is the founder of Longevity Partners. Hello, Étienne. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Ines. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. So you recently announced you were opening 4 new offices around the globe, one in Austin, one in New York, one in San Francisco, and one in Munich in Germany. Why is that? What is your goal with this? And do you think it's the right time amid the pandemic?
Yes, absolutely. So it was part of a global expansion plan. That global plan we've had for about 3 years, and we're just delivering on that plan. The American office was a project that I started about 2 years ago. I've done loads of trips and set up big relationships on the ground, and I'm so pleased that it's now open. We've got 4 employees, one in San Francisco, 2 in Austin, Texas, which is going to be our headquarters, and 1 coming in New York in the new year. And then Munich is ready to respond to our client demand. We've got about 12 clients, and it was just about time. They were like, please do open an office in Munich. We do need you and your expertise in Germany, and we need to deliver on the climate goals. And that's what we're doing, responding to client demand. And the pandemic didn't help, but it didn't stop us. So here we go. We've managed to recruit 18 people and open 4 offices in the midst of a global pandemic that happens about once in a century.
Right. Well, talking about this pandemic, it's affecting our health, our economy, and so much more. And many people believe it's time to take an environmental shift. In this context, how does Longevity Partners intend to help the real estate industry taking this green shift?
Well, that's what we do. That's we deliver the green economy. We are one of the few players out there that can deliver the entire spectrum of ESG services, all the way from setting up an ESG strategy, looking at doing peer reviews and identifying who the stakeholders are and what the real challenges are for the businesses. So basically, we set up ESG strategies that are fit to companies' DNA and their vision and their culture. We also are one of the largest assessors of green buildings in the world. With BREEAM In Use, we've got about 120 billion of assets under certification management. And then we do everything on the building optimization and energy efficiency and renewable energy. So not only we can tell you what you need to do in order to get to net zero carbon, but we can do it for you, and we guarantee what we're going to do is actually working. Yes, I mean, now is the best time. I think for the last 2 years, there's been a big shift. People do understand that the climate is changing, and we've seen during the pandemic that actually investment funds with an ESG dynamic and an ESG focus were a lot more resilient to the pandemic. And we also see in the real estate sector that, all the guys who achieved a very high GRESB score recently are also the ones that are performing super well and that are resilient. So it's all about preparing for the next crisis. And climate change, by the way, is a lot bigger problem than the COVID-19, with terrible potential impact and risks to global society.
And if we focus more on Europe and France, this very important topic, which is the climate situation, the climate emergency, do you think the real estate is ready for this green shift in Europe and France? And do you think there is any obstacle left?
Yes, the French market is ready. I mean, I think more than that, I think the French market is actually taking a leading role in delivering the green economy by setting up an example, both from a policy-making perspective, but also from a delivery. We see, a lot of companies that become, whereby ESG is in the heart of their modus operandi. And, I think it's going the right right direction. A lot more needs to be done. I think a lot more awareness needs to be done. A lot more training of especially brokers, training of the industry to really ensure that they understand the risks related to the climate crisis, but also the opportunities that it represents for from a financial perspective. So Europe is doing great, but again, the climate challenge is not going to be so much about, us developed countries. The lion's share is going to be in Asia and in developing countries, Africa, Latin America, and they're going to need a lot of help. So that's probably where we should open our fifth office, I would say, in the coming years.
Well, I wish that for you. Going back to the US, though, under the Trump administration, you're well aware that this administration has withdrawn from the Paris agreements. And the newly elected Biden administration, however, have said they will go back to those agreements. Do you think, how does this change, the real estate industry globally or in the US? How do you see this?
So yes, I think it sends a message of hope. I think a lot is going to happen at local government level. I think it's going to be very tricky for the Biden administration to to push through regulation. Because the other side is still there, and he did. Biden doesn't have a majority, but let's it sends a message of hope when it comes to having some kind of federal level guidance and commitments. But it could be any governments. I would say that delivering on the climate goals is is an absolute priority at the moment, and businesses know that, and they're acting upon it regardless of the political environment. So having a bit of help always helps, but I think that there is a lot of commitment and drive for delivering on climate change.
Well, thank you for this insight. Thank you for joining us, and see you soon on BiTV.